Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pure Vita podcast. My name is Erica Peters. I'm your host, and thank you for watching today. Today, we have a very special guest, but before we get into that, I just want to talk about Pure Vita. Pure Vita is located in Toledo, Ohio, and we are right next to Ernest Brew Works. We have very accessible yoga classes, meditation classes, Reiki, massage, etc., etc. Sound healing, which we'll talk about today. And we would love to have you join our community. Our community keeps growing and growing, and it's super exciting. If you're watching and you are a part of our community, thank you so much for being a part. You're truly what makes it amazing. And if you're watching this and you're interested in becoming a part of our community, like I said, we have very accessible and affordable rates. That is our goal here at Pure Vita, to get everybody access to the healing that they need. And today we actually have Mickey on. She is our other owner of Pure Vita. So it's an extra special episode today.
Oh boy.
And I'm very excited to talk to her. Later on this week, she's actually going to be sharing her own story. But today we're going to talk about the sound healing training I have coming up. And that's what today's episode will be all about is sound healing. So if you've been asking questions about the sound healing training, this episode is for you because we're going to dive into it and we are going to talk. Well, hopefully, we'll answer all of your questions. And if you have any more, of course, you can still shoot me a message. But welcome to the podcast, Mickey. Thank you
Welcome.
for
Hello.
being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes, of course. I asked Mickey if she would be so gracious to be my co-host today and ask me questions about the sound healing training. So thank you, Mickey. It's a lot more fun to do this with someone else instead of by myself.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I'm
It's-
I'm so excited that you're doing this though. This has been such a long time coming.
yes, it
It
really
really
has.
has.
Yeah, at least 4 years in the
Mhm.
making. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm doing it too. And yeah, it's here. It's
Finally,
here.
finally.
We have a couple months until training starts.
So with that, the course itself is going to be coming up but what are like why don't walk us through what the certification training actually is? What are they actually learning with the sound training?
Yes. So with the sound training, you'll be learning so many different things. The list is infinite because you'll always be learning after you take the sound training. But during the sound training, we're gonna learn all about the history of the singing bowls, which is super amazing, interesting history. And we're gonna learn all about the history of drums, of chimes, of gongs, every single instrument that we're gonna learn in the sound healing tree course. We're gonna learn also the history behind each instrument. And that's super exciting to me. I can't wait to share that information.
Are tuning forks involved? Because that story intrigues me.
That's so tuning forks, thank you for asking. Tuning forks are going to be their own separate training
Okay.
because they're so in depth, they have to have their own separate training. Yeah, but yes, we will have that too. Um, but yeah, tuning forks are going to have their own separate training, and I'm hoping to get that training out a couple months after this one.
Awesome.
So stay tuned for that. But yeah, so we'll be learning about the history of those instruments, and then we'll be learning the science behind it all. We'll be learning how exactly sound healing works on the actual physical human body, the brain, the organs, the nervous system, etc. We're going to be learning how functional MRIs discovered how sound healing actually works and how it lights up the brain in different ways.
Oh, wow.
It's super interesting. And then we're going to be learning how exactly to facilitate a sound bath and how exactly to facilitate a private sound session as well. And those are two completely and totally different things. And it's important to just kind of have a little bit of background or knowledge on how exactly to be a facilitator, especially if you've never had any type of like healing training beforehand. It's just powerful to learn how to be the facilitator. And sound is a whole different thing. We have to know what instruments we're working with and develop a relationship with each of our instruments. Because if you don't have a relationship with your instrument, you may not know exactly how to use it in the way that you intend to. And intention is everything, right? And so it's while your intentions can be good, you may not know exactly how to purvey those intentions through sound. So, and sound is my medium. Like that is just my medium for life, pretty much. Um, but so we're gonna learn that. We're gonna learn how to combine intention plus sound. Um, and then we're going to, I mean, there's so many things we're going to learn. But we're also going to learn how to build a community. And that's going to be huge because once you're into the sound healing community, um, it's important to keep that community like with you. As a musician, you you want to be able to bounce ideas off of another musician or bounce like how maybe how your sound healing made you feel that day or bounce off, etc., etc. You just want to communicate with other like-minded individuals. So after the training, we're going to meet up on Zoom. So no matter where you are, multiple times to really solidify the community for you guys, which I'm super
I
excited.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that. We've talked about, doing that from like a Reiki practitioner standpoint, but I love
Yes.
that that is a part of the course with the sound because that is
Yeah.
so, it is, it's incredibly important, especially in the immediate aftermath of
Yeah.
learning it. Your confidence isn't there yet. You are second guessing what you're doing and having that support, not just from the person that you received the training from, but the other people that were there with you.
Absolutely.
That's huge.
It
It's
is
huge.
huge and it takes some pressure off of me.
But you brought
It's,
up something else too that I want to go back to as far as the science behind it and it lighting up the brain and all
yeah,
of that stuff. You've brought that up here and there before, and sound is something that, well, you know how I work. Until it really falls in my lap and grabs my interest in like a huge way, I just kind of pick up bits and pieces from other people.
yep.
But with that component of it, so and sound baths, I've experienced it myself. We've heard about it from other people after the
Mhm.
dual sound baths with bowls hitting wrong, sounding awful, like, causing disorientation to some capacity. Like, I'm assuming this ties into that same lighting up the brain science behind what's happening to the body. Can you explain like what is actually happening there and
Yeah.
what the benefit, or whatever might be?
Yeah, absolutely. So life is not all rainbow and smiles. Life is not all butterflies and
Fun.
I know, right? Like if you are alive, you know that, unfortunately. So neither is sound. There is dissonance in sound for a reason. And sometimes what's dissonant to one person one day is going to be resonant to one person another day. And we have dissonance and resonance in life because, I mean, we have ebb and flow. Everything ebb and flows. And there is a reason for that. And whatever the reason is, I'm unaware of, creator knows, but I just keep going with the ebb and flow. And when we allow like ourselves to feel that dissonance, like if there's a a dissonant sound inside of your own body and mind and soul that's happening whenever you hear a certain sound, what's really happening is that specific vibration could be something that you need to work on or that you're working through in that moment and it's just like hitting you hard or it's hitting you wrong.
it's like hitting that energy block
It
to like
is.
break it up and like
Yes.
wanting to, I never thought about it from like, and it's sound, I should have, as far as resonating but thinking of that in terms of sound waves and not like this jives with me, but actually in a more literal,
Right.
but on both ends.
Right. Yeah,
On both ends. That's really interesting.
it is. Yeah, and that's sometimes when people come into a sound bath, at the end I give people a chance to speak typically, and sometimes people will come up and say, I'm really uncomfortable. I feel really uncomfortable right now, or I feel really relaxed. It's like sometimes people do get that uncomfortable feeling because they are going through a lot at that point in time in their lives. And what sound is always trying to do is come to equilibrium, just like everything pretty much. But when you're tuning something, like if you're tuning a guitar, um, and it's out of tune, it takes a tightening to get it back into tune. That tightening might not feel so comfortable in your body, right? Like that might not
I like that
feel,
analogy.
yeah, that might not feel the best. And so I try to just let people know before the sound bath starts, if you feel uncomfortable, please feel free to move. Please feel free to, um, etc. Do whatever you need to do to find that equilibrium, equilibrium back in your body. And that's another reason why sound training can be important because it's like you have to learn these things in order to help start to facilitate a sound bath on your own. At least you don't have to, but I do think it's important. It's important. It's very important. Just like teaching yoga or teaching anything, you have to learn it first,
Yeah.
right? So you have to be the student before you're the teacher, and you're always the student. Once you're the teacher is when you're most the student.
Yes. That's
So
when you learn the most
yeah,
about what it is you're actually doing.
yeah, for sure. For sure.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I love how much it affects the body and just the energy. I haven't come across very many situations where sound actually affected me during a session, but as you know, I have my aversions to it where everything in me is like, nope, this I can't do this right now.
Yeah.
That come from whatever. But listening to you talk about it and understanding it in a little bit different way, it makes a lot more sense why my body feels so much better, so much more relaxed, and
Mhm.
what's actually happening as those sound waves are passing through and that vibration is passing through. I always feel bad for people that don't have a good experience with it because it's so relaxing when you do.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. It
so
really is.
is that what first drew you to it then? Or was it just the musical end of, because I know music has always been a big part, but
Yeah. So yeah, well, I'll just tell my little like condensed version of the story. I started out as an accountant, and I was going to college for business and accounting, and then I switched my major to Spanish. Spanish really spoke to me because of the sound of the language, and I love the way Spanish sounds and the linguistics behind it. And so that journey led me to want to hear Spanish speakers who grew up speaking Spanish, not just learning from professors at the University of Toledo where I went.
right.
So I ended up moving to Costa Rica and I studied Spanish there. Like I literally studied the language, the linguistics, the sound, how the sound uh, is different in some areas of the world and how sound is different in other areas of the world, just like music. And this trip was the first time I had ever gotten out of my parents' house. It was also the first time that like I had the space and time to have my own interest come into my body and my own interest and my own energy to just flow freely through my own body because I didn't have that external like parental like, no, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do that. I was able to just like explore myself freely. And while I was down there, I was very drawn obviously to Latin music and like I said, the language of Spanish, and that drew me in even deeper to I went to my very first yoga class, which was actually taught in Spanish. And right then and there, I was like, that's when I knew I was going to do yoga because it did not matter the language. Like what mattered was the frequency of it, the sound of it, the vibration. It didn't matter
So
what.
you even got into yoga through sound.
I did, very much so. And even when I got back to the States, I didn't go, so that was my first yoga class, and then I didn't really do any more yoga in Costa Rica. But then when I got back to the States, my very first class was yoga and sound bowl class, and that's when I was introduced to the sound bowls. I didn't go to yoga, just a regular yoga class. I went to yoga and sound, and that was the first time I felt my nervous system as calm as it had ever been my entire life. My entire life. And that's right there. I knew I was like, I have to buy the bowls. I have to take this training. I have to do yoga too. I mean, yoga helped move the energy in the body, and then the sound healed the energy. And yeah, it was an incredible journey.
I do have a question. I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer or not, but it's something that I've noticed and I think played into the aversion that I was having not that long ago. Um, do you know scientifically if there is any reason why there is such a direct impact with sound specifically on the nervous system specifically?
Mm-hmm.
Because sound has a direct impact to the nervous system that other modalities that are working with the same energy centers in similar ways aren't don't get. Like
Mm-hmm.
it hits different.
Yeah, I do have the answer actually, because I learned it in sound training.
I'm glad. I
Not
didn't
to,
know if you'd be able to answer that or not, but I'm curious.
so sound specifically works with the nervous system through what we call the vagus nerve, which you've probably heard
Mhm.
of. The vagus nerve stems literally from your right ear. So from your ear, your instrument that you use to hear and listen, and it goes down the neck and it goes down into the body and it connects to all the vital organs. Every single vital organ in your body, the vagus nerve is connected to. And what they found through science is, and science is literally just catching up to what the ancients already knew, right? So, but what it's so cool still, like we can actually prove this stuff.
Yeah.
And so what they've found is that the through functional MRIs, the sounds, certain sounds have lit up this nerve in the body and has helped to facilitate the side of the nervous system that is rest and digest, so the parasympathetic nervous system. And so yeah.
Rest and digest, like the digestive system.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay. Now you're going to create a whole other laundry list of questions. So
Yeah.
we don't have to go down all of that. But I guess my other question, as far as the sound healing training would go, is like for people that aren't musically inclined,
Mm-hmm.
for people that don't have that natural draw to music and
Mm-hmm.
playing an instrument, how does this translate? Because I am very well aware that there is a difference. I've experienced it myself
Mm-hmm.
and being able to work with the bowls in a way that I couldn't translate over if I thought about it like an instrument, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so for people that aren't musically inclined, how does this work?
Yeah. Good question.
And is there still the benefit of doing it?
Yeah, that's an extremely good question, especially so the part of the story that I left out is that I am a musician. That's like my very first passion in this entire world. I've played music since I was 12. And The saxophone was my primary instrument, or the clarinet was my primary instrument. The saxophone I played in jazz band, and now I'm learning piano. Um, and the thing about music is it is a math. It's a language, it's math. Um, but while it's math, it's also the universal language. And therefore, knowing that universal language, which is frequency and vibration, can benefit you in so many ways, for sure. And it's super beneficial if you're not a musician to learn this language. And the good thing about learning the language through maybe not necessarily specific math equations or specific notes, like you have to learn specific notes on the piano or the keys, the bowls, the chimes, the gong. These are all instruments that you can play intuitively. And you start to use your true instrument, which is your ear. I mean, you are the instrument essentially. Like it's your ear, and you start to get in tune with these instruments and develop a relationship, like I mentioned it earlier. And it's so powerful and beneficial for sure for anybody who either is a musician or isn't. If you're interested in sound healing in general, it's gonna it's gonna blow your mind. That's for sure. It's just gonna blow your mind like it blew my mind. I was just like, and especially having that music background, it
Yeah.
really blew my mind. I was like, so this is what's happening. We have always, no matter if you are into sound healing or not, you have used sound healing in your life. How many times have you gotten in your car and blasted the radio? That's sound healing. You
The
blasted.
same song over and over again in a rage.
Exactly. That's exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can blast a song for so many reasons because you're angry, because you're happy, because you're sad, because you want to feel a certain way, right? And that's what sound healing is. It's just like it's frequency moving through you. And anyways, so no matter who or what you are, musician or not, you've used sound healing in your life already. I can promise you. I mean, we put on certain songs to dance, right? We put
Yeah.
on certain songs to do yoga to. We put on certain songs. It's all different frequencies and energies and vibrations. And they all have certain intentions. And that's
To
an
draw out certain moods based on what we
exactly,
feel like doing. Yeah. And
exactly,
just applying that to the, yeah.
exactly. And that's so, you know, um, there was a saying in this drum book I have back there in the back room. Um, this guy said, the guy who made it Yaya Diallo, he's African, that's why his name is that. Um, he he said a quote in there, and I want to remember the specific words because that right there was like the essence of sound healing. And it was basically like, as a musician, which we all are musicians, by the way. We're all artists, we're all musicians, we're all creators. We have a voice, so we literally know that we can use our vocal cords, the vibration of our vocal cords, in order to make somebody feel a certain way. I mean, that's sound healing right there. Or make somebody understand something, etc. But what Yaya Diallo said, he said something like, you before you ever pick up an instrument and try to play it, you must know the way you want your audience to feel. And it was probably something even more profound than that, but that right there, I was like, oh my God, that's so true. And that's
Yeah.
what I'm doing. Like, and that's sound plus intention. Goes back to sound plus intention. It's setting that intention of how you want the audience to receive your sound. Um, and yeah, I don't even remember what the question was now, but I veered off.
No, not a problem. But I know you have a favorite story from a sound healing session or some kind of like, what would your favorite story be? either from a sound session that you did or one that you were a part of that, of your own healing?
Yeah, man, there's so many to choose from. Um, One that I was a part of was at Harmony in Life in Sylvania, and this it was the first time I ever heard the didgeridoo.
That is an amazing experience.
Yes,
That is an amazing experience.
you feel this sense of your body just like you go to a different it feels like you're like time traveling or something when the didgeridoo, especially when it's being played right over you. This guy walked around. He was like a world sound healer. He went around, and which I totally want to do one day, universe. He went around the world and did a sound healing tour, and so he's very experienced in working with multiple different types of people. And anyways, he walked over all of us with the didgeridoo, and the moment he got to me, I just, it was another one of those moments where I just experienced something in my body that I have never felt up until this point, but I knew it was good. And it was a sense of like, just there's nothing to do, there's nowhere to
Yeah.
be. I'm here now, and that's it. And that's the only way I can explain it in limited words. So that was probably my favorite sound healing experience, although there's been many. And then my favorite time that I've facilitated a sound bath has to be the tree houses or the hammocks because, and really any sound bath in nature, because nature just adds a whole nother component to
Yeah.
it. Really these,
Another element of sound to it too.
it does, it really does. And that's exactly, I will tell people, listen to the birds, listen to the wind rustling in the leaves, listen to they've actually proven that the sound of birds relaxes your nervous system. And we all know
I
that.
love
We
birds.
know that instinctually, right? But these bowls right here are just blended tones of nature. It's called the solfeggio frequencies, and they're blended tones of nature. That's a long word for blended tones of nature, and that's really what the sound bowls are. Um, and so any sound bath in nature has just been like extra healing for everybody involved, including me as the facilitator. So, but we did for those of you who don't know, we did sound bath in the tree houses, at Oak Openings in Toledo, Ohio. And then we did a sound bath in Swan Creek Metro Parks, with hammocks. Everybody was laying in a hammock and receiving a sound bath. And this year, Amanda and I are planning on doing a floating sound bath,
Oh,
which I'm
nice.
so excited about. I'm so excited about.
I'm curious about the logistics of that one.
Yeah, yeah, we're sorting those out currently.
I might need to come and
You're gonna have to come.
see how this
You have,
see how this works.
yes.
Um, so for anybody that ends up being a part of this and stepping into sound, obviously, anytime you walk into any kind of modality like this, especially in the healing world, it's as you said, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
Have you come across anything, any obstacles with this, any breakthroughs
Hmm.
that, maybe you realized you were hung up on the logistics of something that, you really didn't need to hold on to that caused a breakthrough in your ability to do sound more effectively or
Absolutely. My biggest challenge with sound has been getting over my own self. That really quite literally has been my biggest challenge. Trying to perform instead of just coming from the heart. Like trying to perform because that's how I had to perform in order to receive love growing up. And like that translated into my first few times as a sound practitioner. It's like, oh my God, I have to make sure all these people are doing all the things, and I have to make sure they're all in the right energy, and I have to like make sure everything's in a row. And I had so much anxiety, so many negative thoughts running through my brain, so many like limitations, self-imposed limitations with sound, with performing in general. Um, and I would say I honestly just recently, like within the last 2 years, got over that hurdle of like, and of course it comes back sometimes, right? Nobody's perfect. Like, of course, right before a sound bath, I'll still get nervous and I'll be like, oh my God, this has to go perfectly, or I have to perform perfectly. But now, 9 times out of 10, I feel like I can come from my heart, which is so much better. It feels so much better. Um, and the cool thing about everything that I just said is no matter where you are, you really can't actually get in the way. Like even though I felt like, oh my God, I have to perform perfectly or I have to do this. If your intention is pure, you really can't get in the way. And like all those times that I had so much anxiety and I thought I was gonna like dump my anxiety on the other people through sound healing never happened. Like people would be done with the sound healing and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so relaxed." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like
I'm so
fucking
keyed up.
I'm wired. Like I
Somebody help me.
yeah. Um and that's another thing as being a healer, as you know, not
Yeah.
healer, facilitator of healing. We have to take care of ourselves and work on ourselves and work through those limitations. And that's the beautiful thing about community.
Yeah.
If you're not, I mean, you can do it by yourself, but doing it in community is so much more effective, so much faster. It's easier. It's like you don't feel as isolated and lonely in your healing journey. And that's why I wanted to create this course and then continue, us continue to do meetings where we meet up, even if it's on Zoom, like
Doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You get that community component, and it's like we can share, we can heal together, we can work together, we can work past your limitations with sound healing. Um, and yeah, so that's been my biggest challenge.
I love it. And as you're talking about like maintaining that community, and it got me thinking like as we're learning different modalities, that's exactly what we're doing. Yes, it's expanding our own knowledge and ability to heal ourselves and help heal other people, but it is expanding our community in that same way
Mhm.
and our own understanding. I'm listening to you talk about the bowls and where I understand frequency as a
Mhm.
language from the Reiki end of things and how it passes through me in that regard.
Yeah.
Understanding it from a sound standpoint and putting together, okay, maybe this is why, like when somebody says something, but it's not really what they mean, it hits different. And so I mean, I'm more intrigued by sound now too, only because it's like the difference between English and Spanish. Like
Yeah.
Reiki is one, and that approach to the language is one,
Yes,
and this is another. And so I feel like they would translate into each other fairly easily. I know the
for
frequency
sure.
already,
Yep.
but I love that. But it expands our community. Like the more we open up to all of these different things. We're meeting different people, we're meeting different
Hmm.
facilitators, we're expanding our own knowledge and healing, we're expanding our own understanding of the universe and how it
We
works, and each
are.
other and how we work.
We
And
are. I know you can attest to it. It's just like, yeah, the more we open to it, I mean, I can't explain to you the amount of blessings that sound healing has brought me. I can't even begin to start the list. I can't even begin. It's overwhelming.
well, just looking at all the instruments around here,
Right.
it's a pretty good indication.
It is. And not all these instruments, some of these instruments, a lot of them were
Yeah.
gifted.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's it's powerful and the people we've gotten to meet through it and the people we've brought in through Reiki, sound healing, yoga,
Yoga, massage.
yoga massage, everything just kind of came together like a puzzle. And yeah, you want to speak on your actually you want to speak on your maybe your first sound bath and or for anyone listening?
Oh my gosh, my first sound experience absolutely blew me away because I had no expectations walking in. I had no idea what it was. I don't, if it doesn't fall in my lap,
Yeah.
I'm not aware of it. Yeah, I live in my own world all the time. I went with Deanna. She was she was she was still living here at the time, and I
Mhm.
was in from North Carolina, or had just come back from North Carolina. I don't remember the details, but I went with her to a sound bath, and these were massive bowls. I mean, I could climb inside and sleep inside the one. Like, these were massive bowls.
Holy
Um,
cow.
it just, but it I felt like everything in my body had been reset by the time it was done. All of
Mhm.
my bodily systems, even my bones felt relaxed in a way that I didn't know bones had the capacity to feel relaxed. I was sold on sound after that. I was introduced to you shortly after, and but more and more, as you're aware, I'm
Yeah.
feeling more called to learning more about it, understanding it more, and being more involved in it with myself, mainly because
Mhm.
of the language of frequency. And that has my interest like big time right
Yeah,
now. So understanding all the variables there, um, because that surfaces even in yoga.
it does. Oh,
And
for
so
sure.
understanding it in that way is a little bit easier for me because it's more comparable to how it
Mhm.
passes through with Reiki.
Yep.
Sound introduces a whole new element to me. You know that my family is
Musician.
musicians going all the way back. Um, Music has always been really big and healing for me. And lyrically, I am huge on lyrics. Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter what the song itself sounds like, if the music fits what I need, if the lyrics fit what I need, then that's what's going to be playing.
Yeah,
um so
that's
my
another way to use sound is through affirmation.
but I feel like I'm being introduced to sound in a whole different world right now because it's always been through the lyrics and not the sound.
Yeah,
And so I feel like you're kind of bringing in a whole different element for it, with
that's
me, that I was unaware of, that now really has my interest peaked
yeah,
and wanting
that's
to become a little bit more fluent in that component of it.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, like over in India, they so every sound correlates with a chakra. Every note, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, every note on the piano correlates with a chakra. C is the root chakra, G is the throat chakra. Our our well over in India, their like tone of music is in the key of C. And a lot of their music is not lyrics. A lot of it is just music, just not just music, but just instruments playing, not vocals or lyrics. And G is the key that American music is typically written in, and pop music, everything you hear on the radio is pretty much in the key of G, unless if you're listening to like jazz or etc. And that's the frequency of the throat chakra. And the throat and the root, um, you know, they're yin and yang, they're feminine, masculine. Um, and it's cool because they're also on the other side of the world. Like
Right.
India is the feminine and we're the masculine G over here. And it's just a beautiful, like there's so many little synchronicities
Yeah.
like that. Um, and you talking about lyrics just reminded me of that little.
Well, you just made me realize too. I think that's my hang up. Like, I have my Reiki playlist, but that puts me in a meditative state immediately. That's why I use it. I don't have to like get myself there.
Yeah.
I can just and I need to be in that state when I'm doing my thing. But I'm very anti lyrics. The few songs that have lyrics, behave more as a guided meditation in the beginning. And that's it. That's all, the only purpose that it serves.
That's awesome.
But it's making me realize maybe my issue with is with lyrics and not really, maybe I just need to steer clear of lyrics for Reiki. Maybe that's what's actually impacting me
It,
and not the music itself.
it very well could be. Absolutely. I know, like for me, sometimes, like now that I have a lot more, I mean, I always knew music, I was very drawn to music. I didn't always know, though, especially growing up, none of us always know exactly how things are affecting us. And like, so I listen, like I love rap, I love hip hop, I love every kind of music pretty much except for opera, but I really listened to rap and hip hop growing up. And while that's all good and great, it really has, like, the lyrics in there really do have a negative effect on my whole body.
Yeah.
And I would never know, like I would always feel a certain way when I listened to it. And it's like, even though that was negatively impacting me, some of those lyrics in rap music, I never knew I still craved that feeling that rap music gave me. Isn't that crazy? It's like I'm craving that negative energy. Um and
Well, are you craving the negative energy or are you craving the light that's not being seen in the negative
yeah,
energy?
now that's probably more the case because there with rap music, I honestly like it's always the beats
Yeah.
with me for
But the
rap.
lyrics, I can't, like the lyrics I struggle with.
Yeah, most of the time it's like misogynistic bullshit.
But the
Um
beat is fun.
the
Like
beat
you
is
want
fun.
the, yeah.
Yeah, it is. And like, now like healer sound musicians, like sound practitioners, rappers are coming out with healing rap. Like there's
We
so
need some from
much.
Snoop.
Oh, we definitely need some from
We
Snoop
need some
Dogg.
from Snoop.
Snoop Dogg,
Come on, Snoop.
if you're hearing this, please.
He's my favorite.
Yo, did you see the Snoop Dogg commercial for
I don't watch TV.
I don't either, but I did. That's the only commercial I saw from the Super Bowl.
He did a Super Bowl.
I'll
Oh, I'm gonna have to go watch
yeah,
it.
I'll show you it later.
How did I miss
It's
that? Usually I see the Super Bowl stuff circulate on Facebook or
y-
somewhere, but I didn't get anything this year. Well, because of the main
mhm.
thing,
Yeah,
the
that's why.
halftime show was what
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's
the
what
other
circulated on
thing,
my,
you know who was there. But
I was aware of that one too.
yeah. But yeah, so I mean, a lot of other things got like pushed to the side. But anyway, Snoop Dogg,
Healing music,
healing
please.
Snoop. We had a lighter of you in the studio, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, my Snoop lighter died. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to bring my Snoop mug in, and
Yes.
that one's like my daily at home too. It's just I have
This
to travel with me,
this is the current
just might
vibe.
need to bring it along.
We'll have we should have Snoop in meditation
Yes.
pose.
Well, that's what I want to get.
AI
So
can
we
create it.
have our elf on the shelf right
It-
now that, our elf came into the house after our kids quit believing in Santa, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But we decided that, George needs a friend, and so we're gonna get Snoop because they have their Snoop on the
Yes.
stoop. Well, we're gonna get George a Snoop friend for next year.
I love
But
this.
I guess my
We went on
we kind of went on a Snoop
it
tangent,
was
but
fun
that's
though.
okay. I mean,
Yeah.
he's worthy of a tangent, right?
Oh, he totally
Absolutely.
is.
Absolutely. Um, so I guess my last question is like, what has been the most valuable thing for you and learning sound and in doing your sound certification?
The most valuable thing is through the external instruments, I've learned how to tune into myself and my own system and how I work and how I operate in the world. And it's gotten me to listen to my own self instead of all the external noise, which is honestly a little bit ironic, right? But that is truly what's been the most valuable thing. Sound helped me tune in. I wasn't necessarily tuning into to anything else. And that's the cool thing about sound healing instruments, I think, is you don't have to have your brain so focused on what note do I play next, what chord do I play next. It's so intuitive and it helps you tune in. And that's been the most valuable thing.
I like
It's
I like when you play because it feels like your first language. It feels like you are communicating and
yep.
expressing yourself in whatever ways you can't verbally come out through sound.
Mm-hmm.
And there just seems to be an element with you when you're playing that, which was why I ask, because it feels like from your own healing,
Yeah.
like it was more beneficial in your own like confidence and your own healing and your own understanding and acceptance of self and ability to communicate that in some way, like
Yeah.
even if the words aren't there yet, finding the ability to communicate that through frequency.
Yeah, absolutely. And people have told me that numerous, like, it's so funny. I mean, I knew myself that sound healing was going to be a major path in my life, but I love like when people tell me what they experienced during my sound session, like you just said. And so many people have told me that, like, so many people have been like, this is what you're meant to do. You found your calling. This is what you're meant to do. You know, your life purpose. And I'm like, yeah. And sometimes it takes like hearing that to be like, all right,
Well, and
I'm on
when
the
we
right
love
track.
it's hard when we really love something and enjoy something to be able to look at it as like a lucrative option,
Right.
as
Right.
something that we're allowed to do. And I think a big part of it is people get afraid of burnout,
Hmm.
and there is that element of understanding your limitations and understanding, not letting
That's
that happen.
trial and
Don't
error.
let that love be taken away,
Yeah.
don't let that happen. And you seem to have really good balance. I mean, you seem to have good balance with that across the board. I know it was really hard for you to walk away from massage when
Yeah.
you were called to do that.
Yeah, it
Um,
was.
and that happens from time to time, but sound seems to be something that is like
It's
a
stuck.
consistent, it's consistent for you in a way that the others aren't, and you're good at avoiding that burnout with that, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, sound really is it is the most consistent thing. And I never really like I've always had so many passions, right? I've always like we're all multi-passionate people. Um, and I've never really known what to throw my energy towards because I have so many passions. But I would say, I mean, you've seen it just recently. I just got rid of massage, like you said. I feel like I just now, after 7, 8 years of doing sound healing, I feel like I just now figured out that, oh yeah, Erica, this is your life path. I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know, sometimes it just takes a minute and it's fun, especially, I mean, for me, I am still young. I'm 30 years old and I've been playing sound since I in my early 20s. And those are times of your life where you have to explore
Yeah.
different things, like different avenues. And that's the other thing about this sound healing training. We're gonna learn like you should do what you love. And if sound healing is something that you love, it is something you can make lucrative if you desire that. If that's something that you desire. And I mean, that's definitely going to be a part of this training because that's also very important. Like there is a business to it. It's unfortunate, but that's how this world runs, and we have to um get have an energy money exchange in order to provide our services. Otherwise, we
And
don't.
trade exchange even.
And trade exchange, yeah, like there's so many blessings that come along the way for sure. Um, but that's another, we'll learn kind of the business of sound healing too. And
Yeah. I like how I like how you've handled that and doing it when you're ready, recording it, putting it out as you're ready, doing the events as you want to. You're not burning yourself out. You're finding other ways and incorporating other things, integrating our passions as we all have more than one passion. And we need to give ourselves, I think, the permission to explore more than one passion and to make lucrative more than one passion.
Absolutely.
But I'm glad that sound is taking a bigger front seat for you.
Me too.
That you're doing this. I'm really excited.
Me
Really
too.
excited.
Me too. Well, thank you, Mickey, for coming on
Thanks for having me.
and being kind of my conduit today or facilitator today for this podcast. It's just so nice to have someone to bounce back and forth with instead of just like sitting here talking to the microphone. Like,
hello.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And I I am wanting to let you guys know now about a little bit of the logistics. It'll just take a couple minutes to talk about. So the sound healing training is in April. It's April 25th through the 27th. It's a weekend intensive training. And we will be, if you're a yoga teacher, you can get 25 CEUs, continuing education hours, through Yoga Alliance. We are registered through Yoga Alliance, which is super exciting. And if you are not a yoga teacher, you will still be certified in the sound healing portion of things. And the total amount of hours will be 50 hours because we have 25 hours within the weekend. And then we have 25 hours outside of the weekend where we meet up, where you have to do sound baths and to get your own experience, and you'll have to journal about them, etc. So those hours add up really fast, and it's really fun to spend your time doing that. At least I think so, obviously. But yeah, so weekend intensive, 25 CEU hours, 50 hours total for sound certification course. I'm going to put the link in the description of this podcast so you can sign up for this course. If you are feeling called, I invite you to just take the jump. I know that sometimes finances can get in our head and get in our ways. But I invite you to, instead of thinking about this as like, I have to spend money on this, think about the value of what you are going to get. The value of what you're going to get out of this course is infinite. And I know that because I've taken my own sound healing course and my own sound healing journey. It really is a journey. Once you're done with your course, the journey continues and the value is infinite. We do have payment plan options. I do like to still try to keep things accessible. So if you are struggling financially, please know that we have that option. And if that option doesn't work for you, please reach out to me individually and we will figure something out. I want to make sure everybody has this accessible. Also know that this weekend is not only in person, but it's online as well. So while we are learning the sound healing training in person, we will simultaneously be on Zoom right here, like we are now, and you'll be a part of the class, but it'll just be online. You can learn from your own home, but you'll still be totally a part of the whole experience. We'll be answering questions from Zoom, which Mickey, that's something I actually need to ask you. If you'll be able to do in trade of the training.
Yes.
So Mickey will be helping us answer your questions on Zoom if you're calling in during the sound healing training. And you'll get to meet people from all over. We already have somebody signed up from Florida. So
That's awesome.
Super exciting. So yeah.
It always blows me away when I see that kind of stuff from other places on the website. Like every time you guys would run your retreat stuff, it's all over the world.
I know.
We have been pinged in every country at this point.
That's awesome.
And that happened a few months ago. We had been pinged in every country that's possible.
Right.
Through the Wix platform.
Yeah.
But that was really interesting. I thought that was really cool.
It is super cool. I love that.
Our reach is getting bigger.
We are. Yep. And that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
So Well, do you have anything you want to end on, Mickey, or are we?
I think that's it. I'm excited for it. I'm excited that it's finally here.
Yeah.
I'm like super excited that it's finally here.
Yes, me
It's
too.
been so long.
Yeah, it has. So we hope that you'll join us. Again, the link will be in the description. Thank you for everyone for listening to this podcast. This is the Pura Vida podcast. I'm your host, Erica Peters. Today, co-host Mickey and or Michaela, depending on
How
how
you know me?
yeah, how you know her. So yeah, we'll see you in the next episode.
See you later.